Hello, I'm Manga Captor, and today I appear before you doing a very late mid-year book freakout tag, except it's the manga version, which I was so kindly invited to do by fellow manga tuber Liddy Moon. I was very close to not doing it, but it's nice to kind of have this checkpoint where you look back and see how your reading year has gone so far, so I decided to just do it regardless of how late it is. So the first topic is best manga you've read so far in 2024. I am in the middle of multiple manga series. I am reading I don't even know how many, so I narrowed down my #1 pick to a manga series that I actually completed this year, and that is Shonen Note Boy Soprano. The last volume of this slice of life series was released in June of this year, and it wrapped up the story beautifully. This series follows our main character, Yutaka, who has a talent for singing soprano. He moves to a new school and is eager to join their choir. There is a truck coming. Amazing, iconic. I am loving how this video is going so far. His talent is recognized and the choir members are happy to have him. Yutaka brings this energy and passion to the choir group that inspires other members, and he becomes a valuable piece of the choir. But as time goes on, Yutaka's voice starts to change. He knows that he won't be able to sing soprano forever. We follow his singing / self-discovery journey, which is sincere and touching, but we also follow the lives of other choir members and the difficulties they face. This series also features some queer representation, which I'm always appreciative of, and in this case it's not the main focus of the series, which is pretty nice. I like when characters can just be themselves without making it their entire identity or having their queerness be the conflict or climax of the story, because we just simply exist. And there are a few more manga titles that I'd like to categorize as my best reads of 2024 so far, and one of them is She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat. This is a GL series that is just honestly perfect. The characters are very well written, there's a lot of representation of the rainbow, and I love that. We need more of that in our books, and I'm just so happy that it feels so genuine and so sincere in this series. Another series in this category of best reads is Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko. This is volume 4. This was released in February of this year, and the last volume released in August. This series is honestly one of the best things I've read ever, period. I love it so much. It's a simple, quiet slice of life story that follows an android who is living in a sinking, dying world, but they still have the capacity to enjoy their surroundings, enjoy company, and it's wonderful. And now the best sequel I read in 2024. This was hard to narrow down. I could have picked several, but when I really sat down and thought about it, I realized there was only one true answer, and that was volume 3 of The Summer Hikaru Died. This series just keeps one-upping itself. This is a horror series with BL tones. One of the main characters, Yoshiki, learns that his closest friend Hikaru has gone missing while hiking alone. But somehow Hikaru returns to the rural village seemingly unharmed. However, Yoshiki quickly learns that the friend in front of him is not Hikaru, but rather a mysterious entity that shares all his memories and feelings masquerading as Hikaru. Each volume in this series leaves off on a huge cliffhanger. Every single time I finish reading one of these volumes, I immediately go to Google and search when the next one is supposedly going to release. Volume 3, which released in the first half of this year, was honestly spectacular. The story is only getting creepier and darker and more twisted, and I am just completely in the dark as to where this is going. So the next topic is new release you haven't read but want to. I am very behind on Usotoki Rhetoric. I know that there have been multiple volumes that have come out this year, but I just haven't been on top of that. I think I've just been more interested in different titles, but that series is definitely one that I am excited to return to with the new volumes that came out in the first half of the year. And the next topic is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So I have multiple. I'm really excited for volume 6 of Daemons of the Shadow Realm. I think it's coming out like November or December of this year. I can't quite remember, but that is one that I'm definitely super excited about. And then there are 2 more that are both by Moto Hagio. I've never read any of her works, but I read in an interview with Yuki Kamatani, my favorite mangaka, that one of their biggest influences is none other than Moto Hagio. And it just so happens that 2 of her iconic series are getting published very soon. One of them, which I have already pre-ordered, is the complete Po Clan box set. Now, this series is already out. You could buy volumes 1 and 2, but me being the picky book / manga collector I am, if you buy volumes 1 and 2 now, you could potentially get mismatched spines, but the box set is going to have spines that are like the same, like they have like the same logo printing on the bottom. But anyways, enough about the physical specificities. Let's get to the actual meat of what Po Clan is about. So the Po Clan is composed of a series of non-chronological stories that take place in Europe. We follow a group of immortal vampire teens living on the cusp of adulthood forever. This series explores topics such as loneliness, friendship, grief, and love, and the art style is, from what I've seen, chef's kiss. Absolutely. And the other manga by Moto Hagio that is coming out at the end of this year is They Were 11. They Were 11 is a sci-fi shoujo that has won awards for its perspectives on the sci-fi genre and gender roles. You know me, whenever a series is applauded for the way they talk about gender, I'm there. I have booked a ticket. I have arrived. I'm early. I'm queuing up hours before the doors open. The story follows 10 elite space cadets assigned to board a decommissioned spaceship as their final test. They are asked to survive as long as they can with the resources they have. However, upon boarding the ship, they discover that there are a total of 11 cadets, and no one can remember the original members well enough to determine who the uninvited member is. They must deal with their suspicions of each other as they try to survive and prove their value as space cadets. And the next topic is biggest disappointments. I really only have one, and if you watched one of my latest reading vlogs, you'll know the true answer to this question. I don't want to give that series any more attention, but if you really want to know, you can check out said reading vlog later to know exactly what manga I'm talking about. So aside from that series, I guess my biggest disappointment was Mobsters in Love. Now this series isn't necessarily bad, it's just that I had really high hopes for it. Whenever you have high hopes for something, you're more likely to end up disappointed. I really love myself some BL, and the idea of these really like masculine mobster guys falling in love with each other sounded like amazing, but when I actually read it just kind of flopped for me. So my biggest gripe with Mobsters in Love is that the synopsis doesn't mention that Akihiro, the guy who is madly in love with his boss, was taken in by his boss when he was young. It's unclear how old he was exactly when he was brought in by his boss, but his boss took care of him, fed him, clothed him. He was kind of like a father figure, essentially. So this kind of creates this weird power dynamic between the two that I'm not a huge fan of. On top of that, this series gives into some of the most cliche tropes of all time, which just had my eyes rolling. Actually, I do have one more disappointment, I guess, and that is Soul Rescue. This is a duology, a manga duology by Ayakano. Ayakano did Otomen, Requiem of the Rose King. They have a pretty good track record, and I thought that Soul Rescue would be pretty good, but it wasn't. Volume 1 was good, but Volume 2 completely flopped. It's a series that I am keeping for the sake of collecting Ayakano's works, but it's definitely not one that I'm like in love with. This is a series that is about like this angel that is way too violent, so he's kind of like on probation. He's known for like killing a lot of like demons and stuff whenever angels and demons fight each other, and I guess God is like, relax. So he sends him down to Earth along with an assistant, and his task is to rescue souls. He has to rescue, I forget, like what, like 1,000? No, sorry, 10,000 souls. I enjoyed the like mid-2000s vibes. Like I was here for that, but story-wise, just not good. Alright, and the next topic is biggest surprise. I have two. So first I'll talk about an older series by Clamp, and that was Wish. So I love Clamp a lot, but you know, Clamp has its faults. It's not perfect. A lot of their series, they kind of just drop and never pick up again. So I didn't have high expectations for Wish, but this was really good. It was only 4 volumes long and I felt invested the entire time. I just read them back to back to back. There was no stopping me because I was obsessed. The story of Wish is super simple. There's this angel, Kohaku, that is stuck in a tree and she is saved by our other main character, Shuichiro. And after he saves Kohaku, he invites her to stay at his house and they start to get close and it's just very wholesome. I love the main character Kohaku so much. There is a scene where they're asked if they're a boy or a girl because they have like a very like androgynous look to them and they answer, "Oh, I'm not a boy or a girl, I'm an angel." And I'm like, iconic. I just really enjoyed that moment and there are so many cute little moments throughout this series, so this was a great surprise. Didn't have high expectations, but now it's like one of my favorite Clamp series. And the second manga that was a big surprise for me came out this year, and that is Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You. A lot of people were hyping this series up, but I didn't feel drawn to it. I'm not a huge fan of potential age gap romances, and I felt that maybe this series also glamorized smoking a little bit too much, which I didn't like, but I decided to try it out anyways since it was available through my library and I really enjoyed it. Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You is a slice of life series that follows Sasaki, a 45-year-old office worker who is burnt out. He frequents a specific supermarket just to see a specific cashier. He is in love with her infectious smile and it just cheers him right back up. One day, on one of his routine visits to the supermarket, he notices that the smiling cashier is not there. So he starts to leave, but before he can, he's invited for a smoke with this cool woman named Dayama. They strike up a friendship, but Sasaki doesn't realize that he already knows her. I think this series is pretty funny and I'm enjoying the friendship between Sasaki and Dayama. I think it will probably lead into a romance from looking at the volume covers released in Japan. I hope that this story will just be about an age gap friendship because we definitely need more of those stories, but it's very likely to go down a romance route. That being said, this is an age gap romance I could get behind because it seems like it'd be a slow burn one. When they first meet, they are respectful of each other, they offer an ear to each other, and they are both content to just be in each other's presence. There's also no pressure from either party to turn their friendship into something more. So I feel like this base of respect they have for each other could lead to a healthy romance without an unfair power dynamic. And the next topic is favorite new mangaka. This could be a debut mangaka or one that is new to me. So I chose one that is new to me, and that is Moku Mokuren, who wrote The Summer Hikaru Died. They are definitely becoming one of my favorite mangakas because storytelling, amazing. You know, they really know how to push you over the edge. They really know how to make you feel uncomfortable, which is good for horror. And the art is like so good. They are seriously talented when it comes to artwork. The way that they can just add so much detail and depth to scenes is crazy. It's such an awesome experience being able to read a story that is so viscerally creepy, that is paired with art that is also viscerally creepy but beautiful and immersive. It just completes the package entirely. I hope that they continue to release amazing stories because they have definitely become one of my favorite mangakas this year. Alright, and now the next topic is newest fictional crush. My newest fictional crush is probably Dayama from Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You. She's just so cool. I think she's really great at pushing people's buttons. She seems like the kind of person that would be so much fun to hang out with, and she's stunning. But another fictional crush that I have is Tobari from Nabari no O. So listen, you need to understand some context. I was like a young teenager during the emo/scene takeover, and this kind of haircut, this kind of look was just emblematic of what is cool and what is attractive, and I feel like, you know, it's not my fault. I think that's what I'm saying. But aside from the edgy mid-2000s looks, he is also a character that just cares so deeply. He is so in touch with his emotions. It's like the whole package, you know, emotionally mature, has a cool haircut, has like a ear cuff thing going on. There's not much else to say here. Alright, and the next topic is newest favorite character. I have two. One of them is Akira Takatsuki. He is the professor in this story, Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture. He's become one of my favorite characters because he is just one of those people that can't really hide who they are at all. He's also someone who is genuinely curious about things. He enjoys hearing stories about ghosts and strange supernatural occurrences. He really listens to people when they share their stories, but at the same time, he doesn't automatically believe them. He keeps his skepticism to himself as to not, make the other person feel uncomfortable, and then he just genuinely pursues the answer. And also, he's just like a very wholesome character. He cares a lot for people, and yeah, he's great. And another new favorite character of mine has to be Chopper. I don't know what really to say because I don't want to spoil any part of the One Piece saga, but let's just say that he is a very caring character to a fault, and he's also a book lover. Every time he passes by a bookstore, he wants to go in. Every time there's money/gold that comes into his possession, he wants to buy books. So Chopper is definitely one of my favorite characters. And the next topic is manga that made you cry. I feel like I cry a good amount. That's it, that's the sentence. I think the series or the manga volume that made me cry the most is the finale of Shonen Note Boy Soprano, Volume 8. This just ended so beautifully, and I felt so happy but so sad because I had grown close to these characters, and now the curtains were closing on this story, and I just didn't want it to end. So some tears were shed. And the next topic is manga that made you happy. Okay, this is like really hard to narrow down. So the first one I'm going to mention is Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko. This series gave me a glimpse into tranquility. Despite the context in which it exists, it is very good at depicting peace and simplicity, and I loved it for that. Another manga that made me happy was What Did You Eat Yesterday? Every time I flip through this, I enjoy the recipes that are shared. I enjoy the moments that the main couple spend together. I feel like I'm being invited to their table. The Otherworld's books Depend on the Bean Counter is also a manga that made me very happy. It's a fun fantasy isekai BL with magic. What else could you want, really? It is a series that always puts a smile on my face. Another series that made me happy was She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat. This is just a bunch of fluffy wholesomeness. I love this GL so much. It is one of the most pure, beautiful GL series I've ever read. Our Dining Table is a one-shot that made me feel so giddy. It's a wholesome BL that doesn't just focus on romantic love, but also familial love. It was like a cozy dish on a winter day. And of course, on this list, One Piece. One Piece is a series that has introduced me to so many fun fictional characters. It's been so fun to be a passenger on this ride. There are many different islands and places to discover, and the creativity in this story doesn't seem to end. And the next topic is most beautiful manga volume you've bought so far. And I think that has to go to Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko, but there is a volume that I bought recently that I'm sure you saw, and that volume is what is truly the most beautiful thing in my collection. Now, this doesn't necessarily count because I bought it in the later half of 2024, but it deserves recognition, and that is Volume 1 of The Rose of Versailles. This is a stunning hardcover book that has glossy pages. It is just truly beautiful. Alright, and the last topic is... Okay, hold on a minute. I actually just passed one of the questions, which was, what's a manga series you need to read before the end of the year? And I think we all know the answer. That is One Piece. I'm trying to catch up and read all the volumes that are currently out in English before the end of the year because I want to be caught up. I want to be in the zeitgeist of what is going on in the One Piece universe. But anyways, now let's go back to the last question of this video. Favorite mangatube community member? Now, there isn't just one. It would feel so weird to just point out one person because there are so many mangatubers on YouTube, so I'm going to list some of my favorites. I really enjoy Tsukino's content. I enjoy her manga hauls and also her reading wrap-ups. It's really fun to hear what she thinks about different series. I also really enjoy Liddy Moon's content. Liddy Moon posts fun videos about manga shopping. She also does really cool manga hauls, and she's a huge Clamp fan, so there are some Clamp specific manga hauls which I thoroughly enjoyed. There's also Mangatama, who does really relaxing manga shopping vlogs. I also really enjoyed the content they created while they were in Japan. They visited some fun manga cafes and manga shops, so definitely check out their content. I also really enjoy Boogie Snack's content. They do some of the most impressive manga shop with me videos like ever. There's like fun ones like 24-hour manga shop with me, and others where they spend like $100 at Barnes & Noble to see what they can get. There's just lots of fun content over on Boogie Snack's channel. I also really enjoy Colleen's Manga Rex. Their videos are just wonderful. They do some deep dives on some interesting topics, and they also recently posted like a manga collection video which was really awesome. They do really fun content, so definitely check them out. And that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want to watch more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps my channel. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!